So we've just received the Z Fold 5 in the studio fresh out of the box. If you've missed the unboxing video, just go to the short section, it's right there. In the previous videos, we kind of went through a brief elaboration by words and just can't help but to think that the Z Fold 4 was actually the Z Fold 5. Because on paper, they look the exact same. In this video, let's properly go through the Z Fold 5 and see if it's worth upgrading this year. Welcome to the channel, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing for more tech videos. This is Eric, and welcome to TricycleTV. Now that we have both the phones for comparison side by side, they really do look the same, don't they? But I must also first stress out this blue and black online exclusive edition, which you can only get when you order online. The dark matte finishes on the hinge and the sides looks really good in person. There's also a gray and black that you can choose from. I don't know, I'm just a sucker for aesthetic looks, and this looks definitely is very edgy and crispy. Okay, so the cover display is the same, the sides are the same, the positioning of the buttons are the same, USB-C port and speakers are the same, heck, the hinge looks the same. Okay, the back is slightly different now that they have the flash position moved from the bottom of the lenses to the side. However, the obvious change can only be seen from the thickness of the upgraded hinge. Samsung managed to shed off 10 grams from Fold 4's 263 grams, and it's now 253 grams because there's this new droplet water style design and also lesser moving parts in the hinge. So when you unfold it, it feels more constant, feels more silent, and it's definitely folding more flat right now. These changes makes the Fold 4 feels like an old technology when you put it next to the 5. However, I was hoping the Fold 5 to be folded completely flat, because right now I can still see some gaps right there, but this changes alone is very different from the Fold 4 because it is really flat now. It's just not as flat as other phones out there like the Honor Magic V2, and they're doing a really good job at it. So what's stopping this from happening? Perhaps the next version of Z Fold 6 will be able to fold like completely flat. So really, it's just a very minimal hardware feel kind of user experience that is different from the Fold 4. I reckon there wouldn't be a heaven and earth kind of difference between these two on the performance side. Speaking of which, let's talk about their camera performance. I was actually hoping that they would upgrade the camera performance on the Z Fold 5, but it's the exact same. So it's probably just camera software tweaks coming from the Fold 5. For example, I noticed that Fold 4, when you go to portrait mode, you can only see either 1 or 3x, but as for the Fold 5, there's 1, 2, and 3x. I guess this is a very less significant kind of upgrade, but when you use the camera, you now get to have like a wider view of what you're shooting. So I've been shooting loads of photos with the Fold 4's portrait mode because I love it. I feel like the portrait mode of the Z Fold 4 takes really good photos. In comparison with the Z Fold 5, the low light isn't exceptionally great as it creates quite a number of noises, and there's a number of seconds that you'd have to wait before it snaps. But with the Z Fold 5, I noticed a difference, like a slight speed bump in response. The bokeh looks pretty natural during daytime, and colors it produces might be slightly oversaturated rather than natural, but then again, you can always tweak the colors to your liking in softwares like Lightroom. Overall, I think that the computational photography in the Fold 5 has improved a little better, but not like super different. Now when it comes to the battery performance on both these phones, day-to-day usage, I don't really see much of a difference between the two. However, the battery usage is slightly higher on the Fold 5 as opposed to the Fold 4, despite having the new Snapdragon Gen 2 processor for Galaxy on board. On my normal day usage with the Z Fold 4, the battery drainage is slightly on the higher side. We're looking at probably slight 20% battery usage with just 44 minutes of on-screen time. That usually gets me to less than a day before I have to recharge it again. Definitely is hoping that the Z Fold 5 is able to do a greater job at this despite of the same 4400 milliamp battery. And also, since the Snapdragon Gen 2 for Galaxy is very well known for its performance and efficiency, guess we'll just have to wait to see if the battery usage gets better along the way, as it's still new, and hopefully the software is also able to give better battery life with my usage behavior compared to the Fold 4. However, I am expecting to see a slightly higher on-screen time with the Fold 5. Now let's talk S Pen. This is the new S Pen and this is the old S Pen. Can you actually tell the difference? Because both of these pens are the same colors. If you can tell, I mean, just leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Now, the new S Pen is a lot slimmer than the previous S Pen, but at the same time, it feels kind of too slim to my liking. The old S Pen, however, feels more like a normal pen and it's more natural to use. Whereas the slim S Pen, it just feels kind of unnatural to be holding a pen this slim. There's definitely a higher learning curve towards using the new S Pen because they've made it so flat rather than a decrease in diameter. I mean, like the old S Pen is round. Like if the diameter is a little smaller, it would feel more natural. But the new S Pen is so slim. You definitely feel the difference when you attach the S Pen to its case. I don't have the case right now because I'm sort of like using the third-party case and I don't usually use the S Pen. The new S Pen is a lot easier to carry around as it's now staying flush compared to the old S Pen. It sits better on the table too. You see, after using Samsung Fold series for 3 years in a row, starting from the Z Fold 3, 4, and now the 5, I begin to see the reason why Samsung's incremental upgrade isn't so drastic. If we go back to the first generation Fold, from their design-wise in particular, to be honest, the Fold's design change isn't really that crazy. It's like watching a baby grow every day. Their growth isn't like a baby's gonna talk after a week or a month. You see them gradually growing, and I guess that's how the Fold series are like also. From a very narrow candy bar shaped cover display, which you can't even type properly, into a slightly wider cover display. It's definitely growing, even the most minimal hinge upgrades from its predecessors, or the bumped up 1750 nits of brightness. They keep putting focus on the hinge because it's a foldable. Now these are crucial upgrades that's naked to the eye but adds up to its user experiences. Sure, everyone, including myself, rants about those minor upgrades, especially on the form factor of the Fold 5, but in cold hard facts, it's actually a pretty decent upgrade once you start using it. So, if you were to ask me why not the Pixel Fold, I mean, I would love to. Just like you guys out there, I've been dying to replace my Fold 4 with the Pixel Fold, but I can't seem to accept the thick bezels around it as it looks kind of outdated. And it's also Google's first generation of foldables, which I think they still need some time to get it to be perfected. Also, not to mention the price for the Pixel Fold here in Malaysia especially, it's close to about 10,000 ringgit. At least Samsung's doing a great job for us by maintaining its price of 6,799 ringgit. Even better, if you get it like me during the pre-order phase, it will get you a double storage of 512 GB for the same price. Now here are my final thoughts on the Fold 5. It isn't really for everyone in general. Unless you really like foldables, there are more options in terms of designs and at a lower price. So if you're coming from the earlier generations of Fold series like the 1, 2, and 3, yes, I'd say the difference is huge. But if you're coming from last year's Fold 4, it is not a must to get it. Just keep those cash on hold first because the Z Fold 5 is more of a refinement rather than an upgrade. Also, don't forget the upcoming iPhone 15 that is coming in a month's time. down to the end of the day, it's really just a matter of what you need in a phone for daily use. For me, I need a versatile phone which enables me to type one-handedly when it's folded, and a bigger screen display when needed. It's the best of both worlds. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments, and hopefully this video is able to help you get a glimpse of what the Z Fold 5 is all about. And that's all for today's video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.